In today's news, suspension of the Trade Commission was necessary, says Smith. TURNBULL describes the government as a walking contradiction. Matha makes recommendations for a more functional, apolitical House of Assembly, and students participate in Innovation Week 2023. These and more stories when To It for News returns.
Some claim that the age of a true gentleman is far behind us, but here at 284 Media, we disagree. He may appear in different guises today, but the values and ideals that make him a gent still stand. 284 Media proudly presents The Art of a Distinguished Gentleman with yours truly, Ron Grant, a show poised to help guide modern-day men into 21st century distinguished gentlemen. Don't worry, it's not all about suits and bow ties, but raw, real-life lessons that translate to grounded, community-minded, well-rounded men. The Art of a Distinguished Gentleman, Season 5, a 284 Media production.
Get ready for an electrifying football showdown. It's the CONCACAF Nations League, and it's coming to the British Virgin Islands. BVI takes on Dominica on November 16th, 2023 at the A.O. Shirley Recreation Ground. This is a match you won't want to miss. The action kicks off at 3 p.m., and we've got a fantastic offer for you. Tickets are just $10 for adults and free entry for primary and high school students. Ticket outlets: the BVI Football Association, CCT, 284 Media, Hazim's Beauty Supply, Mr. Nice Guy Virgin Gorda, and Speedy's Ferry Services Virgin Gorda. Don't miss your chance to witness the thrilling action as BVI takes on Dominica in the CONCACAF Nations League. Remember, it's happening on November 16, 2023 at the A.O. Shirley Recreation Ground at 3 p.m. It's going to be epic.
Welcome viewers to the Wednesday, November 8th edition of To It for News. I am Jacko Wooding, bringing you the latest out of the British Virgin Islands. Thank you so much for joining us. We begin with news that Deputy Premier and Minister of Financial Services, Labour and Trade, Honourable Lorna Smith, has described the move to temporarily suspend the Virgin Islands Trade Commission as necessary. During a recent sitting of the House of Assembly, she justified her government's decision to pass the Virgin Islands Trade Commission Suspensory Act 2023, which will result in the suspension of the Trade Commission.
Implementing the Act in its current form faces multiple obstacles, including increased operational costs during a period of budgetary constraints, increased bureaucracy, staffing limitations, unresolved employment terms and the conditions for transitioning staff, and the need for resolution of duplicatory functions and the clarity of roles between the Commission and the Ministry.
Smith said ignoring these issues would be a failure of her government's duty to act on behalf of the people, hence her decision to temporarily suspend the Act and its provisions for 12 months. During this period, she said her Ministry of Financial Services, Labour and Trade will assume direct oversight of trade-related policies and operations.
We will work diligently to secure the necessary resources to enhance the capabilities of the Department of Trade, Investment Promotion and Consumer Affairs. Our aim is to streamline and automate business processes, support local entrepreneurs, and promote investment and fair trade practices. The underlying policy is to strengthen and maintain trade-related public functions within the central government. The Trade Department should be well-resourced to carry out a clear mandate and be accountable to the government and the public.
The Deputy Premier also revealed that an assessment will be conducted during the 12-month period to determine the best administrative arrangements for governing trade-related policies and services in the future.
This evaluation will inform my decision on whether to propose any alterations to the initial scope of operations envisaged for the Trade Commission. Over the next 12 months, we intend to take the following actions to implement this policy. Conduct a review of the department's current structure and operations. Develop a strategic plan for the department with clear priorities for implementation. Provide the department with the resources it needs to carry out its responsibilities, including technology, staffing, and training. Develop and document operational policies and procedures to enhance transparency and ensure consistency in its business processes.
Smith also assured residents that, contrary to popular belief, the Trade Commission Act is not being repealed.
The Virgin Islands Trade Commission Act is not being repealed. Rather, the bill presented today seeks to temporarily suspend its operations.
Meanwhile, 2nd District Representative the Honorable Melvin Turnbull has called out the government following this decision to suspend the Trade Commission. Turnbull, during a recent press conference, called out members of the government for contradicting previous statements used to argue in favor of the bill back in 2020.
Going back to the records of the House, I realized that the members who stood in support of suspending the act, 3 of which were in cabinet, including the now Premier and the now Minister of Education, the Minister of Communication and Works, and the Minister of Health, they all stood in support of that act and that board coming into place. So I would quote, Honorable De Castro said that the Trade Commission is the vehicle passed to monitor the consumer protection. She talked about the price reflected on items and the receipts that are important, and she stands in full support of this bill and a slew of legislation helping to support the bill. Honorable Reimer, he talked about the work starting from 1995 and the benefit of consumers being protected based on price. He talked about telecom and address, and he knows that persons will receive some redress from the law coming into force and the board coming into force, and people will get what they're paying for to support the Trade Department, which was grossly understaffed and unable to carry out their functions. When we go to Honorable Vincent Whitley, he spoke about these things take time, so he was happy that it was brought under his administration in 2019-2020.
Turnbull casted blame on Premier Dr. the Honorable Natalia Wheatley for allowing the suspension of the bill. Despite not being the mover of the bill, Turnbull claimed that Premier Wheatley allows Smith to have her way, adding that he refuses to tell the Deputy Premier no.
Work's been done from 1995 to 2023. A board that has been set in place to do work, to carry out the functions, not just for consumer protection, for the issuance of trade license, for understanding how we put things in place from all investments into the country. And one individual, the Premier, refuses to tell no. This is not right. They all now sit in the House of Assembly with a different tongue just about 3 years later to say we're suspending it, we're supporting it. So what happened to all the support you had for the institution and the bill come into force in the first place?
Representative for the 8th District, the Honorable Marlon Penn, also questioned the decision to suspend the Trade Commission. He described the act which instituted the commission as one of the most consulted pieces of legislation, pointing to the consultations that were held under both administrations of former premiers Dr. Orlando Smith and Andrew Foy.
I know there was consultation under both administration, under the Smith administration and under the Andrew Foy administration, from Anigada to Jas Van Dyke. And then to arbitrarily go 1, 2, 3, it's gone through 3 different premiers and 4 different cabinets. And to go 1, 2, 3 without the benefit of consultation with the public, it shows this government is a government that doesn't want the input of the public, doesn't care for the input of the House of Assembly, because at the bare minimum, they could have had an informal meeting with the House of Assembly to discuss the changes and implications of the changes that are being proposed. particularly implications for the workers who have been asked to transition between both pieces of legislation, whether they stay within government or go to the commission. Now their lives are in limbo for the next 12 months.
And viewers, with that, we take a quick word from our sponsors. Stay with us, we'll be right back.
Is someone gonna get that?
Hello.
Hello. So nice of you to have cleaned up for us. Hi, baby.
We're like in-laws that don't show up unannounced.
Don't worry. I've got this.
CG Insurance. Good like that.
Is that my lunch? Is that my lunch?
We're like the coworker that doesn't eat your lunch.
I'm John. I'm John.
CG Insurance. Good like that.
Father Jesus, that line here long like church service.
Alright, do enjoy the rest of the day. Next customer line, please. Wait, hold on a second.
Yes, Sonny boy, come, yes,
Good
Sonny.
morning.
Good morning, Sonny boy. Hold on there. You must have cut front of people.
It's okay, I'll take care of it.
What? No man to take care of me.
How may I assist you? You want top of power?
You want top of power?
Join the prepaid party with CCT and enjoy more affordable data plans, more top-up promotions, more savings with hero bundles, and more value for your money each and every Tuesday with Top Up Turn Up Tuesday. Visit a CCT store today or anywhere CCT Top Up is sold and top up your phone.
5, 10, 15, 20, 25, 30. You want top of power?
In a recent press conference, the Honorable Stacey Mather, Deputy Speaker of the House of Assembly and Territorial at-Large Representative, voiced his concerns about the current state of the House of Assembly of the Virgin Islands. He proposed several recommendations aimed at improving its functionality and fostering a more apolitical environment. Mather expressed his frustration with the ongoing blame game among political parties in the House of Assembly, labeling it as, quote, an utter waste of time, end quote. He urged the elected officials to rise above petty squabbles and focus on what is most beneficial for the present and future of the House of Assembly.
There exists a political culture in the Virgin Islands that continues to serve the egos of those who seek to pass the blame from one administration to the other. It continues to be fueled by pointing out whether it was a VIP government or NDP administration, and this party politics and campaigning has been seen for what it is, an utter waste of time. I am convinced that my colleagues in the House of Assembly have enough erroneous and selfish examples of what administrations have done, whether it be a ruling government or opposition. Our country needs to see elected officials willingness to get past their chatter and just do what is sensible now and for the future of the House of Assembly.
Mather's comments come in the wake of a recent walkout by the opposition from the House of Assembly. He was among those who chose to participate in the walkout, a decision he explained was influenced by circumstances he felt compelled to address.
At the sitting of October the 13th, the Premier, before the sitting commenced, informed the members of the opposition of his intentions to make adjustments to the order paper. It was received without contention, and I appreciated his approach. However, on October 31st, we entered and sat, all 13 of us, for House at no fault of any. At that time, I've had an open and frank conversation with the members of the opposition. He could have stated his intentions to reorder the order paper and explain why. If the conversations were properly had and explanations and timelines for answering those questions were given, I am certain we would have a different outcome.
We as leaders owe the public the respect and maturity to sit and discuss things before they get out of hand. A compromise could have been found then and there. It was not until we sat for almost 3 hours, had a lunch break, returned and a motion was brought up that the order paper be arranged. There was no mention at that time whether the questions would be answered in that sitting. There was, of course, no indication as to when another sitting would take place, because as the public is aware, we do not have a schedule. Hence, we are now at the end of October, going into November, which will bring about standing finance and preparations for the budget. So when would our questions be answered? As is expected, the Speaker put the motion to rearrange the order paper to a vote. And of course, the motion was carried because the government has the majority. I stood up to ensure that my frustrations with the lack of courtesy and professionalism that could have been used to avoid the outcome, that outcome was not considered. As peers, there should be a level of respect for each other.
He emphasized the need for measures to ensure the proper functioning of the House of Assembly and restore balance. To this end, he provided several recommendations which he believes, if implemented, could bring about much-needed change.
As it has been said and I stated before, establish a schedule of dates for the House of Assembly. Make the House of Assembly as booked and as busy as the government is while they are traveling all over the world. Extend the time frame for submission of questions. As it stands, it's 7 days. Give the members more time to prepare questions and give the civil service more time to provide responses. Limit the statements made by the ministers. We had 23 statements that took 3 hours on Tuesday. Host sittings for questions. This will allow for clearer expectations for both sides of the aisle as to what we are there to do. It cannot be acceptable to offer solutions in the public domain and not try as leaders to put them in place. The House of Assembly should have the same urgency as other institutions and bills that get first and third readings in the same night. There must be courage on all of us to make the decisions that help both the government and the opposition function in the way they were intended to do so. It is not a time to be fighting over and over again, just for political points.
In other news, the newly revived Leo Club of Tortola says it is set and ready to serve the community. In a recent interview, representatives of the Leo Club of Tortola, including the club's president and vice president, spoke about the revitalization of the organization.
So, as you said, the Leo Club did take somewhat of a hiatus. And many years ago, the Leo Club was one of the most vibrant and booming clubs in the BVI. We have a lot of business owners now who actually came through the ranks as Leos.
Okay.
But obviously, certain things happened, life happened, and the club went into a hiatus. It's pretty similar, in Rotary as you would have the Rotaract Club.
Gotcha.
So it's young people aging from, the ALF Club is young people aging from 18 years old all the way up until 35 years of age. So I'm very happy that the club was able to get this group up and going and get the young people out doing community service and doing some community work to help the community, because we need it. It's great what the Lions Club has done over the past few years, but to have the young people now involved, it speaks volumes of where the club is heading.
Additionally, Kevin Foy shared the details of the role of the Leo Club and their relationship with the Lions Club and wider community.
As you said, succession planning is everything. And no matter what entity or field or business that you're in, it's all about succession planning. And when you can have young people who are dedicated to serving their community and want to do great for their community, I mean, that's something you just can't replace. And when you have young people that are that energetic and that energized and want to do stuff for the local community, you have to take advantage of that. And like my job is just the advisor. I'm just here to give them guidance on certain protocols and stuff as it may be when it comes to the business aspect of the Lions Club. But for the most part, the Leo Club is ran by the Leos. They make their own programs and they make their own fundraisers and projects, and they have a list of stuff that they want to do for the community. And I mean, they'll speak more on that, but just like I said, just to be in a room with that energy, and we have some really good young people. We have two key, a vice president and a president who, I mean, I have no words for how intelligent and smart they are in the stuff that they're coming up with, and the way how I see them leading this club already, and watching the members rally behind of them. And even behind of them, there's like even more leaders coming right up behind of them. So it's an amazing feeling. I obviously encourage the public to support these young people. We always talk about the youth being our future, but they can't be our future if we don't invest in them, right?
Indeed.
So when you see these young people out there, these Leos out there, and they're doing something for the community, come out, support them, and give them all the support that they need.
Discussions that day also highlighted the club's recent fundraiser and other initiatives in the pipeline.
Our first official fundraiser was a water sale, which was hosted on Saturday, last Saturday. We decided to go in between Mimal and Willoyd Park, as there were cash sales by Republic Bank and First Caribbean. So we thought that it would have been a great opportunity to be amongst people. It was extremely successful, and I'm happy that our club got the opportunity to bond during those moments. We also have another one coming up this Saturday. So please come out and support. We also accept donations.
You're going to be at the same location?
Yes, and we'll also be at Clovers.
Wonderful.
So, yes.
And Janae, Vice President, you have a few different stuff coming up in the pipelines. Tell us about your foresight for fundraising.
Well, for fundraising, we have one event that we are really looking forward to. It's going to be held next year. We don't have a date as yet, but we are planning on having a stoplight jam. I'm not going to say too much details, but I'm just going to bring it out there for you guys to know that we are having a lot of events coming up, and we are very excited.
For the full interview, visit all 284 media platforms. And with that, we take a quick break. Stay tuned because there is more local news when we return.
This November, the sun rises on the northernmost island of the Virgin Islands and shines over an unforgettable 3-day experience. The Caribbean's most anticipated food festival, the Anegada Lobster Festival. The 24th to the 26th of November, the island's best restaurants present their best lobster dishes and other delicacies, while you and 3,000 of your closest friends soak up the sun. Enjoy music from top bands, seaside activities, and win awesome prizes. There's nothing quite like the Anegada Lobster Festival. The 24th to the 26th of November. Book a room or catch a boat and be there. You'll see, it's the taste and fun you need.
The wait is over. CCT Fire is here. Experience ultra-fast downloads, seamless streaming, and even more reliable connectivity on an all-new fire-blazing super-fast CCT Fiber network. CCT Fire. Bring it home and upgrade today.
Welcome back, and thank you so much for staying with us. The Ministry of Education, Youth Affairs and Sports is currently hosting its second annual Innovation Week through to November 10th, 2023. The event aims to foster creativity, innovation, and collaboration among students from kindergarten to secondary school. During Innovation Week, students will engage in various creative processes and methods of inquiry and investigation. These activities are designed to enhance critical thinking, problem skills, and creation skills, preparing students for challenges in the future. Members of the public can remain abreast with this week's activities by visiting the Ministry of Education, Youth Affairs and Sports Facebook page, where photos and videos of students participating in each day's activities at their school can be found. In other news, recently, Director of Culture Dr. Catherine Smith and Artist Director Mrs. Janice George Harris sat down with Ron Grant to discuss this year's Culture and Tourism Month. Let's take a look at that discussion.
Yes, following right on the heels of the Literary Festival, the Department of Culture has been putting a list together, and this is going to be something that we do periodically, of cultural books that we're donating to the schools. And so we're really entering into the cultural education phase of things. And immediately following that, following the Literary Festival, tomorrow, which is Wednesday, at 6 p.m., we have a virtual panel discussion. I think it's going to be a very interesting. The panelists that we have represent all sectors of the education sector, primary, high school, tertiary, and they're going to be discussing our cultural books that have been written by our local authors, which we now are connecting with the schools to really immerse our children in Virgin Islands culture and heritage. And it's going to be virtual on the BVI government's Facebook page, and the panel is, and of course Mrs. Jenny Stewart Harris is a part of that panel, and it's entitled Cultural Education Through the Lens of the Literary Arts, Literature in the Virgin Islands.
Wonderful. And that is only one panel, but you have two panels, I believe, right?
Yes, yes. Following up the next Wednesday, which is the 15th, at 6 p.m. again, now we're going to be looking at cultural education through the lens of the culinary, performing, and visual arts. So how can we immerse our children looking at our foods, our theater, music, everything, our visual arts. So that will be at 6 p.m. on the 15th of November, which is next Wednesday.
Mrs. Harris also shared some insight on the production of Remember My Name, an effort with a focus on local heroes.
Yes, Remember My Name is actually a production highlighting all of our local heroes that we are so proud of now that the government has recognized them.
And recently celebrated too.
Yes, yes. So we're going to highlight them through dance, poems, drama, and even art. You have to be there to see it. So we have created a wonderful evening that no one wants to stay away from. They don't want to hear about it, you want to experience it, because it's something that you need to be there to experience. And so we are working with individuals like Errol Percival, known as Maximilian, awesome poet, Rochelle Smith, Adagio, with Sasha Quickie. Also, we are working with Sylvana Charles and Heather Butcher. And of course, we will have Via Donovan there as well. So just by calling those names, it should whet your appetite, like what is happening. But apart from those, I am so happy to celebrate this new group. And it's not so new because you were part of this group at one time. And it's the theater arts students from both high schools. So,
wonderful.
Yes, from Elmo Stout High School and from Brigado Flags.
Discussions that day also involved a focus on the need to keep Virgin Islands culture alive all year round.
We definitely have to create that cultural scene year-round. We've been talking about that. I think theater would be one avenue. So I think you'll be hearing a lot more about that coming up. I mean, I know this entire month is chock-filled.
Yes.
But we do want to, from January, start a more regular display of that cultural scene.
For the full interview, visit all 284 media platforms. And viewers, that is it for today's news roundup. Be sure to follow us for daily news updates at 284media.com. Like us on Facebook at 284media and 284BVI on Instagram, X, formerly Twitter, and Threads. I'm Jacko Whitting, and I will see you again on Saturday. So have yourself a safe and enjoyable evening. Ron Grant joins you tomorrow. Goodbye.
Some claim that the age of a true gentleman is far behind us, but here at 284 Media, we disagree. He may appear in different guises today, but the values and ideals that make him a gent still stand. 284 Media proudly presents The Art of a Distinguished Gentleman with yours truly, Ron Grant, a show poised to help guide modern-day men into 21st century distinguished gentlemen. Don't worry, it's not all about suits and bow ties, but raw, real-life lessons that translate to grounded, community-minded, well-rounded men. The Art of a Distinguished Gentleman, Season 5, a 284 Media production.